Hello again. We are starting a new unit. We are going to be talking about quadratic functions. This is lesson 10.1 in the unit, so let's get started. First, let's define what a quadratic function is. It's a specific relationship between the two variables x and y, and it can be written in this form: y equals some constant a times x squared plus another constant b times x plus another constant c. And a, b, and c are constants, and we have to make sure that a is not equal to 0, because if a is equal to 0, then the x squared term doesn't exist, and then all we have is a linear equation. It does come in other forms that you need to be familiar with. The one that I just read out to you is the standard form of a quadratic function. It can also be written in root form, which is y equals some constant a times x minus r1, which is the first root or the first x-intercept of that parabola, times x minus r2, which is the second root, the second x-intercept of that quadratic function. Vertex form is y equals some constant a times x minus h squared plus k, and in this case that h and the k, those are the coordinates of the vertex of the parabola that is graphed by that quadratic function. Okay, so as a function we write it as f of x equals everything that I said in standard form, and that can also be written in the other two forms as well, with y being replaced with f of x. So the function can be the function value, or the y value, can be calculated just by plugging in different values of x. So for example, if I have this quadratic function right here, f of x equals 2x squared plus 3x plus 5, I can find out what the y value is at -3 simply by replacing every x with -3. And if I do that and I simplify, then I get a y value of 14. Okay, so the point where x is -3 and y is 14, that is somewhere on the graph of the parabola. Okay, now if I wanted to find x, if I wanted to find all x's for a certain value of y, that's a little bit trickier, but what I can do is I can create the equation and then move things around so that the left side is equal to 0. Okay, so if I have y equals -5x squared plus 30x plus 7, then if I wanted to find the values of x when y was equal to 32, then that's the equation I start with. I know that y has to equal 32, so I replace y with 32. But then remember, the goal is to get the left-hand side to equal 0. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 32 from both sides, meaning I'm subtracting it from the 32 on the left, and I'm only subtracting it from the positive 7 that's on the right. And if I do that, I get 0 equals -5x squared plus 30x minus 25. And this is something that your calculator can do. If you type it into your screen like this, you've got a solver that solves quadratic equations. If you give it the values of a, b, and c, our values of a, b, and c are -5, 30, and -25. So if we plug those in like that and we ask it to solve, it'll give us two values of x. One of them, which they call x1, is equal to 5, and the other one, which they call x2, is equal to 1. So both of those would be x's where y is equal to 32. So that is kind of a brief introduction to quadratic functions. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.